Take two. Cut. What's going on, folks? I'm AutoMattock. Okay, so the first thing we went over today, we went over a lot of knockdowns for the powerbomb, but we're just gonna go from top to bottom for this whole thing. This is all done in one sitting. A lot of work. So as far as block strings, we eventually got to the point where we were talking about Ex Air Stampede because it seemed to be pretty valuable after the powerbomb knockdown because it can also catch the backdash on top of hitting them if they... It's not meaty, but it can contact them if you powerbomb them and they recover. But off of that Air Stampede, you're +2 on block. This means that if you command grab immediately after it, your opponent can, if they have a 3-frame reversal, they can counter hit you. For example, that will counter hit me. But there are answers. Even though I'm +2 on block, I can hit standing strong. Well, I can't hit standing strong. I have to hit jab. I can hit standing strong and then punish the recovery of their standing jab. But that takes a little bit of timing. I have to walk back a little bit. This will also work if they try to throw me. You know, it'd be interesting to find out if I can actually throw it down. I don't think I'll be able to throw range after this. I don't think so. But the light punch command grab will be in range. If you can condition your opponent to not do anything, you'll be at a range to throw them from here. Standing strong will also be in range, but light punch is more consistent because the space at which you'll hit them with the air Stampede will vary depending on where and how you direct it. So that's +2 on block. We went over some of the knockdown setups, which we'll get into later. We got a few of the... We started on the Okizeme cheat sheet, not really much. This is kind of vague. It's not even going to be +30, but we were looking at if what is the comparison between Ex Air Stampede and Ex Head Crush, and if we can do something else with that. And when you're +5 and you hit crushing light kick, you'll be +3 on block, which is better than +2 as we talked about with the Air Stampede. And then you can command grab them, and they can't use a 3-frame normal reversal. So then the priority knockdown that I wanted to look at was powerbomb, because we know this is one of Alex's most powerful tools, right? It's a command grab. You can't tech throw it. You have to jump away. Ex reversal. So this is on my to-do list. This is very high priority in finding out how to set this up. So powerbomb itself is a hard knockdown in terms of, well, it's like a soft knockdown because you can't back recover since it's a throw. Off of that recovery, you have a 15-frame advantage, 64 frames if they don't get off the ground. We're looking at a range of 160 to 220 damage. All of them do the same stun except for EX, which is 250. Now, the standing hard kick is what you see most often after this powerbomb. When your opponent, if they try to mash the 3-frame on wake up, that's the wrong grab. If they try to mash their 3-frame, your standing hard kick will crush counter them. However, we found that the solution to this is oftentimes that if they just backdash, if your opponent only backdashes, they will avoid it. But this isn't true for in the corner. That's a different situation. You actually gain, you close in a little bit more range when you command grab them in the corner. So your standing hard kick will be in range to actually contact them. So that's good. And of course, we didn't get into this, but once you have a good standing hard kick, you V-trigger off of it, and then from there, I actually don't know the combos with Alex just yet. There's new stuff to do. But I think using forward hard punches is hilarious. I'm not exactly sure. But as far as another option, you can do, and this is what I suggest to do, which is the light kick / elbow. Now this will hit on the 16 frames of startup, so it'll hit a frame earlier. So with that problem of the backdash in mind, you'll actually be able to be in range to hit them before they're able to backdash. So this kind of solves that problem, as long as you time it right. Right? So a meaty / elbow light kick will stop them from backdashing. And it's -4 on block, which is not really safe because you have 3-frame startup normal. Laura's 3-frame jab, for example, can punish it. However, at this distance, you'll be out of range. And I'll demonstrate that real quick. So Laura's going to block on wake up, and she's going to reversal standing jab. She's going to block this / elbow, which will punish her for backdashing. And attempt to punish. Right? But I'm too far away for a standing jab. Now, just as I pointed out with the Ex Air Stampede, you can use standing strong, even though you're negative. You can use it in just the same way to punish them for trying to punish you with their. You're punishing the recovery of their with normal. So it's going to take some. Your opponent's going to do something that has more range, but since it has more range, typically it means it has more startup. So that means that you're able to pressure them in different ways. So there's going to be a lot of solutions. It's not going to be that they don't get a free punish. If they try to get the easy punish, you can punish them for it, is what I'm getting at. So, when you do dash up, and this is the reason why your opponent might actually match their normal. When you dash up with Alex, you're in a -4 state. If they reverse the jab, for lower example, hers is 3 frame. Even her 4 frame startup normal will punish my dash. So, in a way, this is gimmicky, but crouching jab is 4 frames as well. In a way, this is a bit of a gimmick, right? So you're kind of gambling on them not backdashing or mashing because of your slash, your elbow slash, and your standing hard kick. So in that way, maybe you can dash up and command grab them if they're staying put. But as many Alex players probably already know, people are going to wiggle around when you knock them down with a power bomb. Maybe not so much in the corner. But the other thing I found is that if you wait and then dash in, if your opponent is mashing for that reason to punish you, you have a bit of Okizeme. Because now you're punishing the recovery in a way. If you just wait and then dash, you'll punish the recovery just as I punished the recovery of their normal after my slash elbow when they blocked it, and I punished it with standing strong, the recovery of it. So that's kind of there. So the other interesting thing that we looked at was that if they backdash off of the powerbomb, if I time an Ex Air Stampede properly, I can punish them for backdashing, but also I can hit them. It's not meaty, but I can hit them for just standing there too. And Air Ex Stampede, as I talked about just before, does have frame advantage, and the knockdown is a hard knockdown. It's 43 frame knockdown, so we have some other setups we can talk about after that as well. So very interesting stuff for that Air Ex Stampede. You can use EX Head Crush, but this is not a real meaty. This is not something I would suggest doing. But to me, with the research I've done today, the theme of Alex having to do some gimmicks sometimes, it seems like it's not gimmicky for him. It's almost a requirement. The other interesting thing I found with Alex today, and I say I found it as if like I discovered it first. That's not what I mean. I just mean just today I saw it and then I wrote it down. That's what I'm saying. So oftentimes your opponent might backdash. They might not recover, and in this way too, maybe there is some merit to not doing anything. Backdashing and V skill. So if your opponent backdashes and I backdash as well, or say they even whiff a standing jab, which is going to cause them to be in more of a stunned state. If they do that, and I backdash at the same time, it's going to give them less of an opportunity to punish me for V-skill. So I think there is something to that idea. At least, maybe not in this knockdown, maybe in other knockdowns, but there might be something to it. Let me see if I put Laura, backdash, I backdash at the same time. I V-skill, she may not be able to punish me there. And then I'm able to build my V-trigger. When you whiff Alex's V-skill, it builds a small portion of V-trigger, but it also gives him the hard hit, which will crush counter them without a counter hit state, which is going to build half of a bar, which is 25% of your V-trigger. And at a later time, we'll be getting into his V-trigger and why it's probably very dangerous. A 2-bar V-trigger on Alex seems pretty crazy to me, but I'm sure there's some challenges that will present itself in that process. So, as I mentioned earlier, I think the standing roundhouse in the corner is pretty good. I didn't actually write this down here. The standing hard kick will be in range to punish their backdash in the corner. They don't want to backdash in the corner. I don't advise it because you're not creating any space. There's no space to actually be manipulated. But when I hit standing roundhouse in the corner, it's going to be in range for them. So if you have V-trigger, it's pretty good. In the corner, you powerball them, standing roundhouse, V-trigger. That's pretty good. As opposed to if you're mid-range and you hit standing roundhouse, you don't get much because it's not even going to hit them. So the other options here, hard punch, flash chop. So the flash chops are -4, but you're at a range where it's difficult for them to punish. It's not necessarily a meaty. Thank you for the follow. It's not necessarily a meaty because it's 25 frames of startup and it's only 15 frames, so there's 10 frames in between here. But the way that it looks is pretty interesting. It probably will punish her Again, it'll probably have the same idea where it punishes the recovery of her standing jab, but it doesn't actually counter it. It's just in range now, whereas opposed to not being in range before. If I recall correctly, actually hit them from this distance. Unless they actually whiff standing jab. Right. Boom. Okay, so that's all I really looked at for powerbomb knockdown. So the next thing I looked at was just the throw. Just the throw. Face, crush, chop. That's this neutral throw here. And the options are quite similar, because there's only a 2-frame difference between this knockdown and the last one. So this one's a 15-frame knockdown for the recovery. This one is 17. So it's an improvement of 2 frames. So you have a little bit more wiggle room. And it's also closer. So you end up closer to your opponent. So if they try to backdash away from this setup, they won't. Oh, this is actually standing jab. If they try to backdash away from this standing roundhouse, they cannot, because the space is just closer. So that's an added benefit. But you don't want to do this in the corner because you are closer. If they block the standing roundhouse, you're -4, and they're in range to punish you at this point. You're too close. So if Laura were to block this, she can punish with standing jab. Standing short in the EX hard punch pull charge, it's punishable. Unless you have V-trigger, I do not advise using that in the corner for the throw knockdown. Now, just the same, you can use EX Air Stampede, but you do not have to direct it. This will hit the backdash just by holding the medium range Air EX Stampede, and that is just holding down. There's no direction needed in the air, which I didn't know you can actually you can actually put him in different positions while he's in the air. So you get a little bit more interesting options while you're in the corner with the throw. When they're in the corner, since you are closer and since you throw them in the corner, that puts you even more closer. You can walk up, command grab them. You can walk up and command grab them after a normal throw, which is okay, but it does require manual timing, and I'm not even confident that I'll be able to do it on the fly here just for this. For like timing purposes. I'll try it a few times, but I don't know if I can get it. Yeah, walking up and then command grab will beat 3-frame normals. I'm pretty lucky there. So that is an option, and then you can go back into the first thing that I just demonstrated for the powerbomb Oki. So you can manually meaty your standing medium punch. What I suggest in this situation is using toward hard punch, because it does give you frame advantage, and it also will crush counter them if they are mashing a 3-frame or 4-frame normal, which I feel is much easier to actually time rather than the command grab, because there's no input necessary. And I say that, and now I do it in less tries than I did the command grab. But I think this is the best thing to do here. And that seems to be about it for the neutral throw. Again, the choices are very similar. Actually, the elbow slash here will hit on a later active frame. So if it counter hits them, you can link into a super, which you will counter hit them if they're so the same ideas. If they're mashing a jab to prevent you from dashing. And also, this is kind of a stretch. But if you throw and then walk up and then they whiff a normal, you can grab them, kind of punish the recovery of the normal. I don't know if it actually punishes, but it's there. You know, it's kind of there. So off of the Air EX Stampede, we found quite a bit. There's a lot of, like, I feel like I'm going to find much more. I think the highlight I should demonstrate. So again, this is a hard knockdown. Your opponent can't normal, back recovery. They can't, I would technically say they can't no recover. This is just a hard knockdown. They are set at a 43 frame hard knockdown. So I think the most interesting thing that we found here is the ability to meaty your overhead on the second active frame, which causes it to be +4 on counter hit, and then you can link crouchy jab into EX flash chop. So even against Laura, we have seen before how her standing jab can ruin some meaty setups, causing her hurt box to shift, but even in this scenario, it works just fine. So you can see here the frame kill used is just standing medium punch, so you whiff standing medium punch while they're on the ground. And then you immediately go into the overhead. So there's very little room for error, and I like the setup. On top of, I'll show the flash chop setup too. So you hit them with Air EX Stampede. whiff standing strong, and then the overhit will counter hit them, and then it'll hit on the second active frame, and you can actually link your crouching jab into EX flash chop. Pretty good. And what's interesting about this is that if you just do standing medium punch and then dash at them, you'll be at a +3 state. So then you can go for your crouching light kick, and you can go for your command grab as well. So that's good. The other option that I like from here is to whiff medium punch flash chop. And then from there, you get a meaty command grab. You're also in that +3 state that allows you to have a meaty command grab. Standing strong will hit on the same frame as a 3-frame light attack, but it'll win because of the priority system. And crouching short will win. Crouching jab is good. You can confirm off of it. Standing jab works kind of the same. There's still a little bit in the air. There's some funny things going on with the pushback of standing jab and crouching jab. But in this situation, you can't tick throw off of crouching jab. This is another thing we talked about too. Crouching jab, you normally can tick throw off of, but since you're about right here instead of point blank range from the setup from whipping the flash chop, it doesn't put you at close proximity range. So this throw tick setup will not work off of that EX Air Stampede knockdown. But command grab will still work. Before that, you can still kind of do command grab off of crouching jab. It's only +2, but the main thing is you can confirm, and you have somewhat of a branch of options off of a guaranteed knockdown. It relieves the amount of guesswork that you have to do due to normal and back recovery off of, for example, the flash chop knockdown. If your opponent back recoveries, and there's a bit of a 5-frame difference there. And that's it. That's all we did for. I mean, we had some other notes too, but yeah, this guide will be available in the description below. It's going to be available on my Twitch page, and yeah, that's it for today. Twitch.tv/AutoMattock, YouTube.com/Jibbo, and Twitter.com/AutoMattock. Cut. All right, y'all got any questions?